Hey guys, and today we have an interesting one. As you can see, we're back on the tier list because I just love making tier lists, guys. I love ranking tier lists. But today, the one we're going to be doing is Champions League winners from 2014 to 2025 tier list makers. So it's a quick one here. We've just got our 11 teams. So we've got, of course, Real Madrid 2014, Barcelona 2015, Madrid 2016, 17, and 18, Liverpool 2019, Bayern Munich 2020, Chelsea 21, Madrid 22, 23, City 24, Real Madrid, and 25, PSG, our current champions. So here, if you look, we have different tiers. We have God mode. So for me, this is a tier of like, you guys were just absolutely dominant in this season. You guys did not waste time. You were battling through everyone. The football was amazing. The games were straight. It was almost seen like you winning was not even a shocker at all because you were just that dominant. You were the best. So for this tier, for me, is if you go in this tier, you just like you're literally will moving in God mode. The second one is great season. So for this one, sorry, this one, you guys were amazing. You were not the best overall team, completely dominant, but you were great in the season. You were amazing. You played beautiful football. You encapsulated our eyes, and genuinely, you were you were just like not predicted to be the ones to win it, but because you won it, that's what just full on tied the ball around the gift and made it a great season. Now, the other one is good winner. So for this one now, you just like okay. It's like the equivalent of average. This one is like you were not having the best season. You won it, but like yeah, you guys get it. Like your season was just it was kind of mid. It was quiet. Maybe a bit too. Sometimes maybe even a bit too expected. So don't just think I'm gonna put like a boring season. So maybe if it's a bit too expected and the teams you played were like not that great, and then you ended up still winning it. It's like, yeah, it's good winner. You did good. You did good, kid. So then, the next one is mid. So this now is actual mid. This is actual mid. For these who were here, it's like your season just didn't excite me, and you were just like really not that impressive. Sorry, let me just fix something here. Okay, something was going on, guys. My bad. Yes, so this one mid. It's okay. You're just mid. You didn't excite me. You're not too crazy. Not that you're bad, but like you're just mid. I don't know how to explain mid. And then of course the bottom tier here, which you can see is fraud winner. This fraudulent winner. So this was a bit dicey. I don't know if I'm even gonna put anyone in this. I just put it back. For this one, it's like if I think of it, I'll put someone there. But to go someone a fraudulent Champions League winner is unlike if you watch my Ballon d'Or episode. I said the Ballon d'Or, I don't think anyone can fully be a fraud like a thief because you have to have some validity for you to even be in the conversation to have it. But for the Champions League, you could have a fraud winner here, one or two over here, but we'll see who we'll have. So these are our tiers, these are our teams. So without wasting any time, I think let's get straight into it, and we're gonna start, of course, with 2014 Real Madrid. So this season for me, it was an amazing season, a historical season for Real Madrid because we secured La Decima. For those of you who do not know what that means our record 10th Champions League. We won it. We beat Atletico Madrid in the final, going into extra time. This should have been the one for extra time, because 2016 was penalties, so they both did, but this one was the one. This one was the important one. This one was the Ramos one, the one you remember when you think of our Champions League final. The result, in the final, it kind of like flattered the performance for me of how we were overall playing that season, because we were playing very good, but towards the end, I don't know if it's fatigue or something, but we just started coming a little bit lackluster, to say the least. And then because we really needed that extra time, and had the ref been evil, let's say the ref was evil and just before the corner he just said nope, cut the time, we wouldn't have won it. So our performance in the final, for me, I always remember, it wasn't the best. We let Atletico control us. We let them have it against us, and it wasn't really a completely dominant season for us as a whole, but it was a good season, and it was. I think. Wait, I don't know if it was before. No, it was before the World Cup. It was before the World Cup. So this was leading to the World Cup, which of course Spain won with. Well, this of course Germany won, but it was just like it felt the season as a whole, because first of all, this is a season where Lionel Messi was injured for like a long part, a huge part of it, and then Atletico ended up taking the league from us. So even on that context, I don't think we were the best. And then they took the Copa del Rey, and then we took the Champions League from them. Wait, by the way, shout out Atletico, bro. They were on par for a treble, and then we stopped it. But like, that was crazy. Wait, I don't even think they won the Copa del Rey. I think that might have been Barcelona. Maybe Barcelona came back and won the Copa del Rey. Maybe Athletic Bilbao. But these guys, they had a better season. Like, if they won it, I would put it higher. But for us, I think Madrid, good winning year. Madrid 2014, that's a good winning year. 2015 Barcelona, where am I gonna put that one? So I'll give you a little bit of context. As you can see in that picture, I don't know if you can see properly, the guy in the particular photo is Neymar Jr. He was lifting the Champions League, and that's because this guy, that finals performance against Juventus, oh my flipping god, this guy was amazing. But then he had two, musketeer friends. He had two bandits. He had two, thick as thieves friends he was dominating Europe with, in Luis El Pistolores Suarez and Lionel Messi. This guy, these three in this particular season, there's no touching them. They completed the treble, the second treble in the club's history. Mind you, Messi, back at 22, if you go back to my Ballon d'Or episode when I said it's 2009 Ballon d'Or, that was their first treble. That was Barcelona's first treble, and this one now was their second. So this guy been doing it. He been getting them everything. Messi literally just Barcelona. Like, I feel if you pull him out of the timeline, some gonna get messed up. It's gonna be like, for those of you who watch like Marvel movies, you remember in the end game when the Chosen One was still in Bruce, like, you take away a time stone, you take away an infinity stone from the universe, it's gonna break. I think that's what happens if I go back in time and like extract Messi from Barcelona, because something's gonna happen. I'm gonna mess up something. I know something is gonna go wrong, because this guy, this season, of course, he did tie it off with the Ballon d'Or at the end, and this was coming off. So unlike the one from Madrid, this one was actually coming after the 2014 World Cup. A very good World Cup, a very nice World Cup, a very happy World Cup for people who didn't like Messi, because you got to see him get so close but lose it to Germany, and he was on a resurgence. This guy reached the final one player of the tournament. He was on a resurgence. He said, okay, I cheesed last year getting injured. I came back to the World Cup trying to be my best, but I couldn't win it. I'm going in the next season. I'm going to dominate. That was just his mentality. I'm tired of just always coming second. I'm going to dominate again. I'm going to remind y'all who Lionel Messi is. And that, for sure he did. Because he hadn't won the Ballon d'Or since, 2012. It had been 2 years now. Ronaldo winning it back to back. And then he said, okay, show's over. It's my turn. This guy came in and destroyed. MSN for me, everyone talks about like Neymar being crucial, Suarez being crucial. We all know it's Messi being crucial, because for me, I feel like they followed each other. So the way it's Messi, Suarez, Neymar. That's how I think for the concurrent 3 years. If you ask me who was the best player, I think that's how it goes for me. I think in 2015, undoubtedly, uncomparably, it was Lionel Messi. Ronaldo could step to the side. Benzema, everyone could step to the side in 2015. Rooney, everybody was stepping to the side in 2015. 2016, of course, it was still Ronaldo who got it, but I think it was Suarez who was the best, because if I'm not mistaken, that is the year where he shared the European Golden Boot with Cristiano Ronaldo, which, by the way, is impressive on Ronaldo's take, because he's a winger, he's a striker. But anyway, this ain't a Ronaldo video, but Suarez was the best in 2016. I feel like this guy was at his game. That was the peak of his powers. That was like top tier. This guy was finishing better than your best striker's best day. That's how I'll say it. And then the next season, Neymar in 2017, I actually believe, whether people say no, I think PSG Neymar, that first season 2018, if you remember the black Jordan kit they even wore, that for me was the most complete Neymar. But the season before, like almost like side faded 2017, like curly hair on the top Neymar, that for me, I think that's the Neymar that Lamine Yamal's watching highlights of, because that Neymar for me was one of the best I've seen. The PSG one, I can agree, is maybe the most complete, but if you ask me the best on the spot, gun in my head, is 2017. 2017 was Neymar's year. That guy was terrorizing football on a level I have never seen. I do believe that if the 2018 World Cup was pushed back 1 year, he didn't make that PSG move, he just got that 2017 Neymar and maybe even good enough Brazil squad, those guys would have been going very far. They would have not been getting knocked out and cheesing in the what was it, quarterfinals to Belgium? Now they would have gone like very far in that tournament. So I feel like 2015 was Messi, 2016 was the S, and then 2017 was Neymar. But this particular season, it was also all of them. These guys were out and out dominating. You couldn't stop them, man. You couldn't stop them in their prime. They were just passing through your best defense on their best day like it was nothing. They were an unstoppable force. They were beating the champions of England. They were beating the champions of France. They beat the champions of Germany on their route to the final. And then they met Juventus. Juventus, who had knocked Real Madrid, the last year's champions. Juventus knocked us out in the semifinals. I still remember that night. I still remember Alvaro Morata scoring that beautiful goal to knock us out, knowing we could have had a Clasico final finally in our lives to settle it once and for all. But then fate took its hands. They knocked us out. They go to that. You have that final beautiful game. I think it was Iniesta who scored first. Maybe Rakitic, I think, scores first. And it looks like it's a close game. And it's funny because for me, it's very reminiscent of the final we would have with them in 2017, where it looks so close. But then, all of a sudden, Barcelona just switched and Neymar just enters beast mode. By the way, this guy was bodying Neuer. By the way, in 2015, this guy was bodying Neuer to the ground. Neymar enters that God mode. He flips it, takes on Juventus' whole team, scores his goal, beautiful goal. Suarez scores. Neymar runs to the fans. Dani Alves. That game was the proper capitulation of their football and peak modern football working as a system in a team. And Luis Enrique, he kind of did it again with PSG, but on a lesser level because he didn't have his big star power. But that 2015 team, you fear playing them. Even on your best day, you fear playing them. And I think all this semi-glazing, you guys already knew what this was going to. Of course, 2015 Barcelona, that's a God mode Champions League season. The next one on the list, Real Madrid in 2016. An interesting year, very interesting year. This begun what would later be known and is known now as the first ever three-peat in modern Champions League. Tried them because we went on to win it the next 2 years, but we'll get to those in a bit. The final, this one was the interesting one. So remember 2014 when I said we went to extra time, it was kind of scrappy. This one went to penalties because this year Atletico said nah. We made it here, and they saw who they were playing. They saw Real Madrid, and they said, you know what? First of all, screw you guys. Like, what's your problem, man? Why is it every time we trying to get our trophy, you guys have to be the ones who are there? You know, if it's Copa del Rey, it's Barcelona. If it's Champions League, it's Madrid. Like, leave us alone, man. We're tired, boss. But they did come in this one. They were strong. They were a fierce team. Madrid was a better team in 2016. Unfortunately, we lost a lot of people from that team. We lost Pepe, I believe. We lost Casillas. Replaced him with Navas. This was the first Navas Champions League final, and he did pretty good. But this one went to penalties. This one they took it to the end. They said, we're not doing this. You score 1-1, take it extra time, made it. But we do remember that game was a beautiful game to watch. I think for me that one was a very, very nice game. I'm sure it's the one where Bell scored that header like just near the post, but this was a good game. And this game for me, it just reminds me of a lot of good memories because that penalty shootout, I was so tense. I was my stomach and my colon, they was touching because I was in myself. I was just holding. Please do not lose this because we won 10. We won La Decima. Now we're just counting to the next one. But to get 11 in the span of 3 years, you have 2 Champions Leagues. By the way, now we did a 3-peat, but before then, we had won our last one before 2014. I think it was in 2002. So us winning them wasn't that like close by up into this recent times. So I was like, to go 11, 4 past the second team who was AC Milan at the time. Oh, it's still AC Milan actually. I was like, come on. But then the penalty shootout goes in. Keeps on going, goes firing, some misses, and then finally the moment comes in. I think it was Godin. I think he missed his penalty or it was saved by Navas. And it was up to the next taker. And if we score this one, this is the decisive penalty. And if we score this one, we're going to win the Champions League for the second time in the last 3 years. And who else would step up than the man you're all envisioning? None other than the man who even goes on to win the Euros that year, who goes on to lift the Ballon d'Or that year, but Mr. Cristiano Ronaldo. This guy steps up, wags it on the far right. All Black sent him the wrong way, takes off his shirt. You remember this one, runs and then just cheers it on. Ramos screaming, everyone screaming. Real Madrid now are 11-time Champions League winners. But overall as a football and taking everything from me, the run was a bit tough this year, but the final was even a harder grind. Placing it, for me, it just falls under sheer dominance, of their later wins. Some of the later wins we're gonna have, because it's just like it didn't cross the bar. It touched the bar, it did a little pull up, but it just felt to do the muscle up and get over. So I think it's right that it sits just with the same, just like the way it's the same team we played, same result. I think it sits with its friend, a good winner. 2016 Real Madrid Champions League, good winner, good winner. The next, of course, is 2017. So in 2016, by the way, a little lower. In 2015, after that, we sacked Carlo Ancelotti. We parted ways with our manager, our good Italian man. We might hear from him in the near future. Who's to say? We never know. But as for now, we parted with Ancelotti and we signed Zinedine Zidane, a club legend, French legend, Italian legend. If you just want, everywhere you go, this guy's a legend. But we signed him to our club. He was, by the way, the assistant manager all the way back in this one here in 2014. He was our assistant manager under Carlo Ancelotti, but now he was the man in charge. And he built this team of dominance, and he fixed it. He added some little particles. He added a little bit of Isco here, a little bit of Alvaro, not Morata for this season, a little bit of Asensio here, a little bit of touches, 1-2 touches everywhere, just, selling some old people, bringing in some new guys. Brought in Rafael Varane from the reserve seat to bring him to the top team to play with Ramos, and then we had 2017. This, perhaps for me, could probably sit as the peak of the Zidane Ronaldo era, because this was the definition of European dominance. Not to say the football we played encapsulated every team, but I mean, when we say the peak of the Ronaldo Zidane era, this was when he knew exactly what to do with Ronaldo, because towards the last 2 years of their partnership, he sat down Ronaldo one day and he said, I know you love to be on the wings. I know you love to do the skills. You love to do the fly, the blah, 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 blah. But hear me out. At this point in your career, listen to me. I'm someone who knows how to clutch up at the end of their career. Let me tell you one thing you should focus on. You can focus on stat padding and helping the team achieve more trophies than even possible. And Ronaldo said, which roughly translated, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, but he basically said, I'm not too comfortable with what you're saying. But Zidane said, no, two things. Three. One, no player is bigger than the club. He was just frank with him. He wasn't even rude. He just said, no player is bigger than the club. Sometimes you have to sacrifice for the team. Look what you're doing to Kareem. He probably brought in Kareem in that room and said, look what you're doing to boy Kareem, man. This guy been looking for a chance for 20 years at this club now, and you just tell him from him. The only time he's going to get a chance is 2022, 2021, 2020. So I'm not even. Then Kareem said, really? He said, yo, get out of here. Okay, I digress. But he did tell him no player is bigger than the club. Sometimes you have to sacrifice. The second thing he told him is you have to cut this wing stuff, bro. You in 2008 prime Cristiano Ronaldo doing 7 million skills on the ball, without the ball moving and type shit. But you have to stop this, and you have to be willing to go deeper. And then the third one, a pause, by the way, pause. And the third thing he told him is you're not the youngest man anymore. You're kind of touching your 30s. You're pushing 30s there. You're pushing your mid 30s, late 30s. He said, some games in the league, I will start to bring you on, maybe in the second half. And this kind of pissed off Ronaldo, but, eventually they reached some slight level of agreement. And this helped, because Ronaldo was more energetic in the Champions League. He was like, every time he would play, it's like he was eating a senzu bean, because that man was coming rehashed, rebuilt, refurbished with energy, and he was banging in them goals. I believe this should be the season where Real Madrid scored a goal in every single game they played. If not every, it said like in 99% of the games we played, we scored a goal. Not that we won, no invincible type it, but we scored a goal. So you were certain that the BBC Bale, Benzema, Cristiano guys, some of y'all messed up online. They were coming at you. Okay, that just sounds crazy. They were gonna score a goal. They were gonna score a goal whether you liked it or not. And in the Champions League, we became the first team to defend the title in the Champions League era. This is like when I said we're the first team to do back-to-back, or the first team to do the three-peat, because we won the first 5 European competitions, but this was in the UCL era, the modern era, the Champions League era, the UEFA Champions League era, and we became the first team to defend the title. Basically what that means is go back-to-back. So you win it, you come as winners, pause, and then you win it again. And we did it so with a dominant win against Juventus in the Champions League final. This game, similar to Barcelona's in 2015, because it started out a little bit balanced. You know, we're playing around, and then you know the story. I'm just going to go through the goals because I don't want to build too much lore because I can't get deep into this because this is one of my favorite finals to watch, like, of all time. So Ronaldo gets it, gives it to Carvalho on the right. Carvalho sends it back in. Ronaldo scores the first goal. Looking like we're going to be dominant. Juventus start picking up some pace. I think they want some motivation type here. And then Mandzukic, you know, enter that prime 2022 Kylian Mbappe telling his team, we got to focus. This game ain't lost on us. Beautiful play. They kept playing it. I think it started from the far right. A cross comes in. Khedira hits it up. The ball didn't touch the ground, by the way. Khedira hits it back up. I think it reaches Danilo. Danilo chests it, crosses it back into the box where Mandzukic bounces it off his chest, turns one time, and hits a complete, like, full-on 180 body turning overhead kick to slot it right at the back of Navas. Is supposed to bring a goal and make it 1-1 for Juventus. And it looked like it would be fair. Just like the Barcelona final. It looked like it would be okay. It's kind of close. Second half begun. Ball goes through, bounces off, goes to the outside. Casemiro whips it with the most intense power you will see it. Ball be hit from like near midfield, halfway there. Shoots it. Okay, it takes a little bit of a deflection. Sends it to the other side. We score 2-1. It's 2-1. We need another goal to certify it. Who else is there, ladies and gentlemen? Who else can be there? Who else did you expect to be there? Cross from Marcelo, finds it at the far post, none other than Cristiano Ronaldo to bang it in for 3-1. Spins his finger. So iconic moment, literally. And then the young blood from last year come and show that he's stronger this year. Marcelo again gives another beautiful cross. By the way, Marcelo was just like, he was just on demon time in these 3-peat. But yeah, crosses it through. And then there's Marco Asensio with a goal very similar to the one Ronaldo scores for the third from the position-wise. And this youngster scores in the Champions League final and realizes that he's about to set on a journey to become the best player in the world. Okay, and then this, for me, was absolute top-tier performances throughout the season, throughout the Champions League season for Real Madrid. So 2017 Real Madrid, I think I'm valid enough to say that they can sit right next to the big boys of 2015 Barcelona in God mode season. Then we came to the next season and oh, look at this. It appears I'm seeing triple. I'm not seeing double anymore. I'm seeing triple because the logo on this team looks like the one on this team and the one on this team and the one on this team, if you know what I'm saying. That's 4 in the last 5 rankings. Okay. Okay, sorry. 2018 Real Madrid. This for me was historic, of course. Not for me, but for general. I was going to say for me this was amazing, but then I remembered after how historic this was because this completed the unprecedented 3-peat Champions League that we had in the modern era. This is, for those of you who don't know what 3-peat is, it's very easy. If you can see from the pictures, what it means is we won 3 Champions League titles in a row. 2016, 2017, 2018. Now, whereas some of the games in this thing were very tight, winning 3 in a row, guys, it requires a very strong team. It requires greatness. It requires hard will. It requires passion. It requires being at the top of your powers to go 3 years. Think about, we went from the length of a World Cup to another tournament. That's how long. So imagine if we had the 2014 World Cup, right? And then the next year we win it, the next year we win it, and the next year we win it, and then that next year, that's the World Cup year. So we were giving you guys Champions Leagues from the duration of this World Cup to that World Cup. That's that. I just want that to sit. I just want that to sit with you. But this one, there's a lot of tight games. We of course played PSG in the round of 16. That's the name I'm talking about. Peak of his powers. He absolutely was cooking that game. Unfortunately, I think he picked up an injury. Now, was it a red card or an injury? I don't think he's the one who got the red card. Could have been him. But he picked up a little injury and didn't play the second leg. And of course, we won the second leg. Cristiano Ronaldo absolutely dominating in that second leg and showing Kylian Mbappe that, my boy, you're going to come here in about like 5 years' time, 6 years' time. But until then, let me show you I'm the run. I'm the reason I'm your idol. Because he showed him up. He showed him. And Mbappe said, okay, every time I play these guys in the future, I'm going to try my best. And then we said, what the hell, bro? Yeah, but then following that, I actually blank out, guys. I low-key forgot who we played in the quarterfinals. I think we could have played Bayern Munich. I'm just saying. Maybe Bayern Munich City. I think we're playing one of those two in the 2018. But then we go to the semifinal. The all famous semifinal because as it was drawn in the lots, we ended up colliding with the same team we beat here. Which is ironic because for this one, we won in 2014, right? And then found a third goal game in 2016. We beat Juve in 2017, and ironically came back and played them in the semifinals in this year. I know that I'm just like drawing on straws, but it kind of feels like some teams just be like recycling our opponents. But Juventus, they were strong. They were amazing. They were stronger than last year this season, arguably, in my opinion. We met them in another semifinal, as we did in 2015. Just not so long ago. They knocked us out. The last time we met in the semifinal, they knocked us out 3 years ago. So we were coming for revenge. And it's funny I see 3 years ago because 3 was a crucial number in that game because that's the number of goals we scored at the Bernabeu. You all remember them. Y'all remember the first goal. Y'all remember the second goal. And now I know y'all remember the third goal because that is the dime. Ronaldo sends it wide to Isco sends it all the way. Bounces through, reaches Carvajal with the cross into the box. And for a moment you could hear a bird grind its teeth because there was silence as this man elevated himself. And then Ronaldo scores that overhead kick in the 2018 Champions League final. A big game, a big moment, certifying he is a G. This guy is about to go 3 for 3 on the Ballon d'Or unless something happens in the World Cup. But anyway, we beat them 3-0. We go to their stadium now. We're at the old lady. We are ready to just score one goal and pack the bus. Little did I know, they were planning to do with this team. You guys look down. I'm look at the screen for this one. They were planning on doing what this team was planning to do to this team in that season, if you know what I mean. We beat them 3-0. And tell me why those guys were able to make it 3-3 by the 82nd minute. It was 3-3. They were about to do what Liverpool would do to Barcelona the next season because they were about to lose 3-0 and score 4 goals, and they were this close. I swear they were this close, guys. If you go watching that game, I will always cheese when I'm arguing and say, look, we beat Juventus, bro. They can never beat us type shit. But I'm just cheesy because those guys were this close. Like, they were an arm hair close to winning that game and knock us out in what would be the greatest comeback, since it happened next year. Obviously, the greatest will still be what Barcelona did PSG, but something happens. A foul happens to Vasquez in the box. We're not going to talk about all that. We know it's past, guys. It's been like, 6 years, 7 years? 6, 7. But a foul happens. Unfortunately, Buffon, starts grinding on the ref, gets sent out, replaced by, ironically, there's a lot of webs in football, by the way, guys, because something people don't clock is Buffon was replaced by Szczesny. And not saying, but Szczesny would later on is Barcelona's keeper. Ain't that just like weird to some degree? Like, I don't know how it's weird, but I just think it's weird. Like, everything's connected, So Szczesny there on the mark, but he's just from coming in. There's no way he's gonna stop the penalty. And who else is taking the penalty? Cristiano Ronaldo. You ain't stopping a Ronaldo penalty. Ronaldo bangs it in. Goes, takes off the shirt, celebrates. We're through to the final against Jurgen Klopp's amazing Liverpool, who went on a dominant run, by the way. They were banging team after team. I think that's the season they knocked out Manchester City in the round of 16 or quarterfinals with that Oxlade-Chamberlain bang on from outside the box. Beat Roma, Salah bodying his former team, scoring a Puskas worthy goal, which I still don't understand why that's not the goal that he wins Puskas for. He wins the goal for that stupid goal against Everton, I think it was City, but I digress. And then now we're playing them, and it's a final. And we're not going to talk about that final too much because you know what happens in that final. Of course, Salah gets injured, Ramos, and then of course Benzema has scored, Karius, and of course Mane scored. Celebrates, for Salah, does his little celebration thing, says, okay, let's keep it rolling. We're gonna come back. We're not gonna stop just because Salah is injured. But then unfortunately, because Salah was injured, they just had to stop because from there it was like, nah, that was your only goal. I'm sorry. You all know what happens. Ball goes out. Marcelo, far cross, and Gareth Bale literally looks at Ronaldo in his eyes and says, remember how he was so silent? And we all heard that bird grinding his teeth. Well, in mine, you can hear a termite take a shit because it became quiet as this man elevated himself. And it's ironic. We did it back-to-back games. Guys, we When I tell you that I love my players, I love the players. Now, you know, Rodrigo, Vinny, I love them. But guys, there's no competition. If you ask me, man, there's no competition because this is just a blueprint for how much star power we had. This guy literally scored an overhead kick in the Champions League final when the guy opposite to him on the wing scored an overhead kick in the Champions League semi-final to send us through, like to be one of the goals that helped send us through, and he does this in the final, and then he goes on and scores what I can only describe as a knuckleball without a free kick, without a set piece instruction, because that was just a knuckleball that confused Loris Carreras and showed him that Bale got power in that left leg, because that was an amazing goal. I don't even know where Bell. By the way, Bell came subbed on into this game. He didn't even start this game. He came on for his score. I think it was in the 62nd minute. What are we doing? What are we talking about, guys? This team was on some like Infinity Stones in the glove type. Because what do you mean? These guys we just scored back. Our wingers scored back to back over at kicks in Champions League games to win us a trophy. And we did win it. We won our 12th Champions League, a record 12th, because each one we win from now is going to be a record 12th, record 13th, record 14th, record 15th, blah, blah, blah. But it was to see what three-peat that showed peak European dominance. Where do I put this? It's not God mode. I'll be honest. There was some cheesing through it. It was not good winner because we were amazing. It is actually going to be the first one I put in great season because that's where I ranked 2018. If you ask me about the 2018 Champions League, it was great season. We had peak Ronaldo. Maybe 2017 was his peak. Arguably, which one you want to say? 2016 could have been his peak. You guys can rank it. We had like almost the closest I think Kroos, Modric, Casemiro I've ever gotten to that Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets level. Not to say they've ever been close. I just mean like them being a definitive midfield in Europe that like dominates. Because Tony Kroos, man, he's doing that crazy stuff. Modric, you know, he's getting a little bit tired there. He started getting subbed out with Isco a little bit, but still very great. Casemiro was Casemiro. Ramos was Ramos. Varane, Peter's powers. Carvajal, Marcelo, just continuing what they've been doing the past 2 years. That front three, oh my God, Keylor Navas showing that he's a big enough keeper to be there in the big moments. Great season all around. We move on to 2019 Liverpool. This was an interesting year. This was an interesting year for Liverpool because this marked resurgence. They had lost the final to us. You know, some can say, oh, Mo Salah wasn't there. No, lads, we got to go better. We got to go. But Klopp said, I'm not letting this happen again. Unfortunately, Real Madrid could have done it for, but I'm just going to say, guys, I don't really know if it could have, but you can't. I want someone to definitively tell me why it couldn't have happened. That even in 2019, we might have won another Champions League and go 4 for 4. But I'll tell you why we didn't. One of the big reasons we didn't is because, one, this guy right here, the guy I've been talking about for the last 5 tier ranks, this guy right here decided, okay, I've had it easy mode. I want a 3-peat. I've won 4 in 5 years. I want a challenge. Oh my God. Cristiano Ronaldo decides to leave us, goes to Juventus. I don't know what he was thinking. I think it's mostly because, of course, I remember when I told you there's a little bit of infighting and no players bigger than the club. And then, of course, when he scored that overhead kick in 2018, they gave him a standing O for that. So maybe he was thinking, nah, these guys respect me. They're going to give me the respect I deserve. I could be the main guy there like what I was here. But now I'm starting to feel like they told me I should be like the main guy but help the team. I don't know. I really don't know. Like, if you ask me, I don't 100% know why Ronaldo left us. Things were good. I think he just wanted to get out of his comfort zone. Part of it was that because you maybe start feeling it's too easy here. Like, no one's going to think it's hard for me. They're going to say, oh, it's easy. He's winning it with Real Madrid. Cool. He leaves. And I feel like this was that breakup where normally there's one who becomes maybe a little bit crazy, obsessive before they both heal. Nah, this one we both left and our lives just fell apart. I say that ironically because Juve did win the Champions League. Did win the league, the Scudetto, and I think they did win the Coppa d'Italia, but it fell off because Ronaldo, from there on, by the way, never in his life again after this one won a Champions League in his career. Neither did Messi. 2015 was his last Champions League, but Ronaldo's just, from there, his European dominance just kept fading each season because 2019 is going. It's like he's at his prime. Yeah, he was moving crazy there, but 2020, man, what do you really remember? That's that one side split kit they had, like white this side, black this side. Yeah, 21 was that gold kit. Ain't nobody remembers Ronaldo in that season in the Champions League. 22 is Manchester United. I think he was in the Europa League, so that was like maybe even the first time since probably Sporting or Man United. He had played in the Europa League, maybe even his first time playing the Europa League. That's crazy. And then 23, of course, is where he just leaves Europe entirely. Now goes to Al Nassr and all that. But from there, yeah, blah. But for me, it's funny because we took out that piece and we aged up our players a bit. And in 2019 Real Madrid, we absolutely capitulated. One, Zinedine Zidane left, so we lost both Ronaldo and Zidane. We absolutely capitulated. The manager who came in, I haven't forgot his name. I think it could have been Benitez. I feel like it was Benitez. I always forget. I know that not Pellegrini, but yeah, whatever, guys. This isn't about Madrid. This is about the. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is the kings of Europe had died, so there was chance for new blood. And the team we beat in 2018 said, okay, you know what? We're gonna be that new blood. They woke up. Liverpool came into this season very dominant. They were known, of course, for that one game. I love that game. It was a semi-final game. Winner goes to the Champions League final. And guess what happens? Just like with Juventus the last year. See how I say everything in football is kind of connected? They go on to lose 3-0 to Barcelona. Barcelona who were back. Messi was having a crazy season, by the way, in 2019. They beat them 3-0. Messi scored that amazing free kick in the first leg. The second leg comes around at Anfield, and then they showed everyone that. Remember how we've been yapping about Anfield magic for the last 100 years? We're going to show you why. Because they had an absolutely dominating performance against Barcelona. Completely broke that team. Completely whacked them and beat them 4-3 to tie off an amazing comeback. Of course, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Konaté, and quickly Origi it's a staple at this point. They go on. The unfortunate thing is they were great and they were a high level intense team, and I think this was actually could be the peak of Klopp's Gergen press football, where he was just full guns and roses attacking you. But unfortunately for them, Ajax on the other side of the globe should have won the Champions League, or should have won the Champions League semi-final against Tottenham, in my opinion. With hindsight, I just mean this purely with hindsight, because, with the way Tottenham won it, it's ironic that both English teams, English teams in 2019, I'll give you that. Even now, but in 2019, they were at the pick of the powers, bro. City was a dominating force. By the way, in the quarterfinals, in the quarterfinals, City and Tottenham put on that banger, and we all know how that went. The offside trapping Aguero off, being the decisive factor. Cinema. There was like 4 goals in the first 20 minutes of that first leg, or that second leg. I forget which one it was. But semi-final, we had 2 English teams. We had a Spanish team and a Dutch team. Back-to-back games, both second leg semi-finals had amazing comebacks by the English team. So on paper, after watching that Lucas Moura and watching that corner taking quickly Origi, you had it in your mind. This final is going to be intense. It's going to be whoever can put their leg forward. And then I say unfortunately, because unfortunately from there, Tottenham, just like Inter Milan in 2025, drained every ounce of energy from their system in that semi-final and sent a team of zombies to that final, because these two put on what I could only describe as probably one of the most boring Champions League finals I've ever watched in my life. And I've been watching finals since I think it was Chelsea 2012. That's the youngest I remember actively watching a final. So from 2012 to 25, that's about 13 years or 14 years of Champions League finals. Liverpool's, for me, arguably one of the most boring and dead finals, purely because their competitors, Tottenham, man, they played like Tottenham in that final. But this was an amazing season for Liverpool. I cannot take that away from them. Peak powers, peak movement. I'm not gonna say it's mid. The final, if this is just based off finals, if this was based off finals, I think Liverpool would be on a fraud, because that final was cheesing, bro. But 2019 Liverpool can sit next to 2018. It's a great season. They were just great that season. The next one for me is, of course, Bayern Munich 2020. Now, let me just say something. Bayern Munich had sacked their previous manager and signed this man. See how football is connected? Hansi Flick. They signed Hansi Flick from the German national team. I think that's where he was, or maybe the B team. I've forgotten where this guy was, Wolfsburg or something like that. This guy came and changed everything. He put steroids in all the players. I'm just kidding. But okay, but just look at Leon Goretzka. That's one thing that's actually funny, because that's one thing I tell people when they if you ever ask me, my son one day comes to me and say, Dad, how good and how dominant were Bayern Munich in the COVID era? I'll show him 2 pictures. On this one, there's Leon Goretzka before Hansi Flick joins Bayern Munich, and on this one, there's Leon Goretzka holding the Champions League trophy. And maybe I'll put them on screen. This was the switch Bayern Munich played. This was the switch they made in their football. The switch between this Goretzka and that Goretzka, that's Bayern Munich. That's them as a whole. Just that, that's Bayern Munich. Because these guys, man, I'll put some context. I think, if I'm not mistaken, beat Tottenham 7-1 in the group stage. Okay. This was the season, by the way, where we had one legs going from the quarterfinals going forward. We only had one leg. So COVID had to disrupt football. When we came back from the pause of Corona, we finished the second legs of the round of 16. But coming from quarterfinals, it was just one leg through. You lose, like World Cup style. You lose, you're out. Which was a good, like, added a little bit of a woo to the Champions League. Because now it was like, okay, ain't nobody trying to lose. But, of course, this was unfortunate. These guys, I think they smacked Chelsea like 3-1, came back and beat them 4-1 to make it 7-2 on aggregate. So they've been just scoring. They've just been scoring goals. Then they got Barcelona in the quarterfinals, and I don't want this to be too long, so we all know. Yeah. So they go into the semifinals. I always forget who they played in that semifinal. I think maybe it was, I don't know. But then in the final, they play PSG. We all know how that final goes. It ends 1-0. This also, back-to-back teams in red, they were frauding because they also put on a very stinky final. But it was highlighted by the fact that Neymar was trying his best. I think this was the hardest I've seen him try. This for me was a very good parallel to 5 years ago in 2015 when he won the Champions League, because this was a parallel of how he was still moving at the peak of his ability, but the team he had just wasn't the team for him to win it. But unfortunately for PSG and Neymar and Mbappe, Bayern Munich did win it. But of course, I cannot take it away. These guys were slapping everybody. I'm so happy that 2020 Real Madrid got knocked out in the round of 16 by City, because if there was even a chance, a remote chance, we would have met these guys, I would be literally crying, begging on the floor to God that please don't let us play these guys, because these guys, they're moving on God mode. Nobody was stopping them. I think, remember the Goretzka metaphor? Another metaphor is how obvious it was that Lewandowski would have won the Ballon d'Or this year. I think that's how obvious it was that Bayern Munich were going to win the Champions League because of how they were playing. Nobody touched them. They were just dominant. The next season, Chelsea. I find it funny. This one for me is a funny Champions League run. Interesting. A lot of people underrate it. I'll say that right now. A lot of people initially would look at this and put it here, just because the year itself of football wasn't the best. It wasn't too exciting, but for me, this was actually this was a classic. It felt like watching a classic. This team, this unbeknownst team, the last time Chelsea won it was like 9 years ago from that point. It was 2012, an iconic Drogba Bayern Munich final. And then these guys, they just went on this crazy run, and Thomas Tuchel completely reshaped this team from what Lampard had left after being sacked, like I think early season. This guy was playing defensive masterclasses with this team. They were just tactically excellent, man, and they were almost always gonna go for whoever they played. And this is just facts. And they did play us, by the way. They knocked us out. And this was, I talk about this in a previous old video where I said that this was one of the resurgent years of Real Madrid, coming back each year to becoming what we became the next season. But we were just not enough for Chelsea. And I'll tell you one thing. Mason Mount was smiling against all your best teams this season, which was something people don't talk about. Mason Mount, Christian Pulisic was playing amazing football, by the way, guys. Kai Havertz, this guy was coming in banging goals like what Marino is doing this season with Arsenal. These guys were amazing this season. I actually feel like they were criminally underrated, just like it became a trend now. We were having boring finals. We had a 1-0 in 2019, or a 2-0 that was a sleeper, a 1-0 that was a... And then we had a 1-0 here that was like, because we played Manchester City and we all thought City was going to win. For most people, thought City was going to win. But City, they just capitulated at the end, and Chelsea ended up getting that Kai Havertz goal, a lucky little goal, dinked it over Edison, and they won the Champions League. This was beautiful. Winning their second Champions League in a row, or not in a row, but like in their history. This was a high-quality winning team, that was built on tactical brilliance. They were not pure when they were offensive, I'll give them that, and their offense was a little bit shaky, but this was just a good team. It was literally a good team. But for me, I think good team is where I'll put them, because they were just a good winner. They were solid, like an A, maybe not an A, maybe even a B plus. You're very good. Yeah. But then of course the next season was Real Madrid, and The one thing I think I could call this run for me, as a Real Madrid fan, if you know this run, you know we call what we should be calling it is the mental strength round, because these guys, they would come in this to play with my mental health, and I did not appreciate. To this day, I do not appreciate what they were doing. They were not good for my mental health, because this run, first of all, this run certified now our what 14th Champions League record, 14th, but this. This was arguably, I think maybe comparably to this one only, because this was arguably one of the hardest knockout paths a team has ever gotten. We didn't get the champions of all the leagues like Barcelona, but what we did get was a PSG, which even if some people like to move the goalpost. A lot of, by the way, Barcelona fans, you guys, some of y'all like to move the goalpost and say, no, but Messi was trash that season. And no, Neymar was just Neymaring that season, and it was only Mbappe, but even he was kind of quiet that season. But tell me why, if Messi was missing, why did he use that part of that season to go ahead and win the Ballon d'Or? Silence. Okay, we played, I mentioned those guys because we basically played MSN, the resurgence, but not the finished product, because we played Messi, Neymar, Mbappe. That was the front three PSG had. And at their stadium, they only scored one goal against us. Messi missed the penalty in the second leg, by the way. But I'll get to the second leg in a bit, because this one I don't want to make it too long, so I think I'll be brief. I'll try and be as fast as I can. Mbappe scores, makes it 1-0. Go to the second leg, it was La Remontada. We don't know what happened. Mbappe scores offside. Mbappe finally scores again, makes it 2-0. Remember, Madrid fans are like, okay, we lost. We let this guy score a hat trick, but it's offside. Which is funny because, ironically, this is what he would come to our club and start doing. You know, just scoring like a lot of goals in a big game, and most of them are offside. But we needed a hero, and Karim Benzema. Remember when I told you back in 2018, or back in 2017, when Zidane was talking to Ronaldo and he brought Benzema in and said this guy would listen to tactics and he would become great because of that. This is the year I'm talking about. This guy was amazing this year. Our team fluid this year. Vinicius Jr., oh my god. I look back at the highlights of what this Vinicius Jr. was doing, and I look at him now and I can see that there's something wrong. There's something so wrong with this guy, and I feel like crying. But did the remontada, 3-1 comeback, Benzema hat-trick, Champions League round of 16. We go and play Chelsea. First game, Benzema scores back-to-back hat-tricks in the Champions League game, something only done by his former teammate, Cristiano Ronaldo. 3-1. Second leg, it was just... we literally let Chelsea get the lead, and then they took it offside, pushed them back, and we said, okay, have the lead again. We didn't want it to beat Chelsea. But then, fortunately for us, Luka Modric said, okay, I'm gonna wind back the clock and show y'all why I won a Ballon d'Or 4 years ago with that amazing Trivela. Still yet to see an assist better than that for a Champions League goal in the modern era. Send me the video link if you have one. I'll watch it. I'll happily watch it. Gives that Trivela across the field from the halfway point. Finds Rodrigo, who was having just a weird season this year because he came in from like a youngster, but he was just doing like adult things, scoring in big games. And he scored in almost all our big games, like some of the major ones. And then, of course, Benzema scores the header and we knock off Chelsea. But it was another remontada. Then we go ahead and play what should be, for me, the most tense game I think I've watched as Real Madrid fan. Comparable only to Juventus in 2018. But the difference is Juventus we made it a pressure game. Because we beat them 3-0. So we made it a pressure game. This one, oh my God. Manchester City, these guys, they lost the final last year and tried to do a Liverpool. They said, okay, this next year we're not taking any prisoners. We're just going to dominate. And they did that to us. Tell me why 2 minutes into the game, Kevin De Bruyne is scoring a header. Tell me why. Okay, tell me why 7 minutes after that, Gabriel Jesus absolutely spinning Militao to score. By the way, Ramos and everybody, they gone. We have Thibaut Courtois now. There's no longer Navas. There's no longer Ramos. There's no longer Varane even in this one. There's no longer a starting, by the way, Marcelo. He's on the bench now. The team was old. Most of the team, like the legends from the glory days, were old. Tell me why he's spinning and making it 2-0. Okay, Benzema scores, makes it 2-1. Okay, tell me why Foden is scoring almost just like immediately after the second half starts to make it 3-1. We just couldn't come near them. We can come close to them. And then Vinicius does what arguably for me is one of his best goals in his Champions League career, and an amazing goal, that half skip to go through the legs of Fernandinho, run it all the way through and score 3-2. I'm happy. Tell me why we're not listening to the ref do play on and Bernardo Silva makes it 4-2. Like, you see how pressure it was to catch up to City. But then luckily a cross comes through in Laporte. He says, I want to help you guys. He was doing the Van Dijk before Van Dijk, because he gets that handball, makes it a penalty, and Mr. Karim Benzema. Tell me why in the Champions League semi-final, Ronaldo back there in the first leg in the semi-final did an overhead kick. This guy said, I'm going to also have my aura moment. Tell me why in a pressurized situation where we needed this goal, there was no longer that away goals rule. So if it was away goals rule, we're in the clear with 2 goals, 2 away goals, but it's no longer there. Tell me why this guy took it to Panenka. And then tell me why he's scoring it. This was amazing. It was 4-3. We lost, but it seemed like we were both happy with the result. Ancelotti's back, by the way. Guess who's back? So the next game, the second leg, it's now at the Bernabeu. We all know how that game goes to. Tell me why we were looking slow. And then tell me why we allowed Real Mahrez to score to make it 5-3. So we were gone. We needed 2 goals. And then he scored in like the 70th minute. So we had time. We had 20 minutes to score 2 goals. A goal every 10 minutes. Let's do it. Tell me why I reached 90 minutes. Tell me why I was looking at the clock saying 89 and it's still 5-3. Tell me why I'm crying. Tell me why young me is crying. I say young me, but it's me 3 years ago. Tell me why that boy was crying at the TV. Tell me why. And then tell me why Benzema decides to run all the way to the end of the post and do some prime Zlatan Ibrahimovic gymnastics, black belt type maneuvers to push the ball back into the box, and Rodrigo is there scoring again in the big games, helping us. He did against Chelsea. He's back here now. And then tell me why I'm seeing it's 90th minute. We're still 1 goal behind, and tell me why City are looking like they're defending. They're playing a low block. It's over. Tell me why it's over. But then tell me why 4 years from the moment Johnny Carvajal says, "Look, I haven't given a clutch cross in years." Tell me why he spins around Grealish, gives a cross, and Rodrigo scores. So tell me why we scored 2 goals in 1 minute. Someone tell me. Come on, tell me why. I'll tell you why. Because it's the blood of the Bernabeu. We made what could have been the most. How I say it is, Barca PSG, greatest comeback of all time. Liverpool Barcelona, like I'm talking about modern era type, greatest comeback. Liverpool Barcelona, most like shocking, most dominant comeback, because there was no like control. They just completely controlled and won the game. Us versus City, most gut wrenching one, because tell me why it was 2 goals in 1 minute, bro. The Benzema gets a penalty again. Tell me why everyone's thinking he's going to have massive pressure. You can't Panenka this time. But tell me why he scores. Tell me how we had a 99 to 1% chance of winning in the 90th minute of that game, by the way. But tell me how we're the ones playing the Champions League final. It doesn't make sense. Now, just to give you some backstory, to continue my point of how football is connected. Liverpool in 2018, we had that amazing game against Juventus, that pressure final that ended with our top striker scoring a penalty. And then we play Liverpool in the Champions League final. Tell me why we're just repeating 2018. Tell me why. Because we played Liverpool again. Liverpool will be moving on a crazy run. Had a pressurized game against Villarreal, but managed to body them and go to the final. It's Champions League final. I won't talk much about that final. I'll just say, tell me why Vinicius Jr. is scoring in Champions League finals like it's water. Scores. Wins it. Benzema, by the way, the goal he scores, very reminiscent of the Karius one, but it's a slip-up and he just outstretches his leg and scores, but that one was offside. Tell me why we're now 14-time Champions League winners. This season, by the way, guys, this run, it was insane. This run was insane. We won each tie in like seemingly impossible fashion, guys. There was just sheer drama and resilience in every single game. For me, if it was like we were dominating, it's not good enough, because this tier here is for dominance. This tier you can have some cheese, and for me, this is a great season, man. There's no writing this season. Next up, now I'll be a little bit faster. 2023 City. I'll just tell you this. Tell me why they signed Erling Haaland and this guy completely dominated Europe and won every single trophy that he could win with this club. And tell me why he broke every single goal scoring record that he could have broken in like a realistic span of this season, and like absolutely shattered every team in the Premier League, including Liverpool in the second leg when they beat them 4-1. Tell me why he was doing that. Tell me why Manchester City, who were in the final, were in the semi-final, came back and said, "Nah, this time we're not taking any prisoners," and completely didn't. Tell me why the same team that we did that comeback 2 minutes, 2 goals, 1 minute team just absolutely bodied us 4-1 in both legs this time. Someone tell me. Tell me why Inter Milan seem to have an affinity for giving teams their first Champions Leagues in their careers. Tell me why. I'll just tell you one thing. These guys, No one. Tell me one team. It was almost very similar to this. Because tell me one team you actually, genuinely in your heart, believed we're going to beat these guys. I'm going to look at you in your eyes and tell you, even if you don't want to say it, a Barcelona fan, even if they don't want to say it, it was us. They thought we were the closest thing because we still had Benzema and everything, but we were tired. And they showed us we were tired because they retired that team. These guys, I'm going to waste any time, man. God mode. These guys they were beating everyone. You know, if you want to see, remember the Goretzka metaphor? If you want to see how great this season was for City as a whole, just go watch their first game against Manchester United. Go watch the first Manchester derby, the 6-3. I won't even say anything about it. I won't even tell you who scored. Just go watch it and you'll see what I mean. I guess someone's back. Guys, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times. In the last 10, 11 years, we've had 6 titles. Okay, I'll just okay, this one, we sold Benzema. Just a little bit backstory. Benzema's gone. Most of the team is gone. It's Cruz's final season. Everyone's tired. We signed Jude Bellingham. And we all know what he did, guys. This was just, for me, I think this one, it was just another classic Real Madrid run. We beat Leipzig, kind of dicey going into that second leg. Almost they could have knocked us out. We played City, and we said, this time we're getting our revenge. But they said we're still strong. And then we went to penalties, and we beat them. And then, in the semifinals, tell me why. I'm just going to bring it back. I'm bringing it back. Tell me why Madrid recreated City 2022. Tell me why. I'm just waiting for someone to tell me why. Not because that. No, the first leg ended 2-2 in Germany. Against Bayern Munich, by the way. Second leg, boring game. Alphonso Davies, by the way, guys. I hope this guy comes back good from injury. And comes back very good because I want you guys to remember that before Nuno Mendes, it was Alphonso Davies. This guy was tearing it up. Tell me why he's getting back his form in 2020. Tell me why he's getting back that form. Tell me why he's dribbling through my whole team and then scoring a banger for his first ever Champions League goal in the Champions League semi-final. A lot can happen in semi-finals, guys, by the way. A lot can happen. Tell me why, again, it's in the 86th. Or tell me why it's in the 85th. And we need 2 goals to win. Tell me why. Tell me why. Tell me why. I'll wait. Tell me why I'm starting to roll back some tears from 2022 that I had against City. Tell me why. I mean, you realize we're not going to win it. And then tell me why, out of nowhere, our replacement striker, the guy who is our striker but plays his replacement because Jude was playing striker, and Joselu, someone, and to this one, I'll forever say it. Someone please try and explain to me how Joselu. I think that's the sentence in its entirety. Tell me how Joselu. Tell me why we were most successful with Joselu as striker, and then when we bought Kylian Mbappe the next season. Someone tell me why. Tell me why Vinicius was playing his best role, like that Benzema crossing type role, when Joselu was there. Someone tell me how. Tell me how. I can explain that one, but just tell me, Joselu, how? Tell me why Joselu was doing Rodrigo things and scoring 2 goals in the span of 5 minutes again. Tell me how. Tell me how Neuer, who was absolutely amazing and stopped every single shot Vinicius shot at him, spilled the ball and the final chance, and Joselu scores. Tell me how. Tell me how. Tell me why. Tell me how. And tell me why we go into the final this time and play a Dortmund side that was absolutely gonna, have us if they were serious. But tell me why Toni Kroos in the last corner he takes in his career was an assist for Champions League winning goal from Carvajal. Tell me why Carvajal is scoring ahead. Tell me why Carvajal, who I think is like 5'8", 5'5", maybe 5'8", 5'5", 5'8". He's a shorter man. Tell me why this guy is elevating above everyone and scoring headers in the Champions League final. Tell me why. Tell me why. I can tell you that one because it's Real Madrid, my guy. Tell me why Vinicius Jr. continues to score Champions League final goals like it's water. Tell me why tell me why he's addicted to winning Champions Leagues. Nah, tell me, for real. For me, this was a classic. And this can't be anywhere else but next to its friend, because these two are very close. This one was just more gut-wrenching in your stomach, but these two are very close. Great seasons. But now, ladies and gentlemen, we move on to our most recent Champions League winners. Of course, I am talking about PSG. These guys, this was their record. Oh, by the way, we won our 15th, the record 15th. I just wanted to let you know. This was the record for PSG, they said, because this was their first ever Champions League in their history. 5 years ago, in the spot, they lost the final to Bayern Munich. Now, they were back with a serious team and a serious manager. The same manager who 10 years from this year, he's the manager here, who gave a treble. So this guy just knows how to win trebles, Mr. Luis Enrique. They won an historic treble that season. They dominated in the later stages, but they were dominated by this new Champions League format, in my opinion, because if you look at it, they were about to get relegated, because now we're playing, this is the first Champions League, the new format, the league phase. where top 24 have something to do, and then from 25 going to like 36, y'all out. They ain't no Europa League no more. You're just out. Like, just go, just dip. PSG were one goal away from there. And of course, it was in that City game that changed everything, because from there they started to cheese up and play. But this was an amazing run. All round, this was an amazing run. These guys, they were just going through it. And then I think round of 16, they knocked out Liverpool, who were their favorites. You know, Liverpool actually low-key get dunked on a lot in Champions League, guys. We don't talk about that. Quarterfinals, they played Aston Villa, a beautiful game. Again, a very dangerous game. Even the Liverpool one went to penalties, by the way. So they're not like completely dominating. They were just playing good football. Scrappy, nice, good, old school type of tactical football. Brilliant tactically, by the way. Similar to Chelsea's. And then in the semifinals, they went in and played Arsenal. Arsenal knocked us out, but we don't talk about that. They had an amazing game against Arsenal completely. I think that's the only game where they full on dominated. Like, coming up into the final, of course, we know what happens. But for me, that was like their best game. I think the second leg was their best game that whole like Champions League run up until that point, because they absolutely dominated Arsenal, by the way. And then they played the final. Now I'll bring up the final. Tell me why. Can someone please kindly tell me why Inter Milan were scored 6 goals, scored 7 goals across 2 legs against Barcelona in the semifinals, and created what was one of the most historic and cinematic Champions League semifinals you will watch across both legs, knocking out Hansi Flick's amazing Barcelona? Tell me why that team goes and plays PSG in the final and just literally didn't go and play PSG in that final because there was nobody. Tell me why they send bodies without souls. Tell me why they send football players who didn't have skills. Tell me why they send people who wanted to sleep more than they wanted to play football. Tell me why they were absolutely dominated 5-0. One of the largest Champions League final margins of history. Tell me why they basically said, you know what, we was just here to stop Barcelona from winning the Champions League. You guys can go have it. This was an amazing season. This was a great season. I will be honest, this is not a fraud season. These guys absolutely deserve it, man. The football they were playing was just amazing. This was not a mid-season, because they were not mid. This could be a good winner. It could be a good winner, because I feel it's very reminiscent of Chelsea's, if you ask me. It's a good, very good team. It's nothing too historic. Was it a great season? Not really, because if you look at the start, for me, the start was kind of shaky. They were not. And then even that Liverpool game, they got cheesed in the first leg 1-0 after absolutely dominating them. They had to go to penalties. It's obviously not God mode. Treble might make the figures, but it's not. But for me, to end the video, PSG 2025, I will be putting them in good winner. And ladies and gentlemen, that is your tier list of ranking the Champions League winners from 2014 all the way to 2025. I came, I saw them, and I ranked them. If I had to rank the God modes, because you know I like to do this at the end, I would say bottom of the barrel, being honest, 2017 us. We're like the least dominant God mode. I think followed up by this would be a good match to see. 2020 Bayern and 2023 City. I actually believe that 2023 City, you guys can go here, second from lowest. And then of course it's like this. This is the most dominant Champions League run I think I've seen in my life, and in the last 10 years, the last decade. 2015 Barcelona takes the cake. These guys absolutely dominated. Anyway guys, please leave down in the comments your thoughts on this tier list. If you agree, if you disagree, what you want to see in future episodes of the podcast. This was quite a long one. The tier ones are quite long ones, but I love those of you who can stick around for the whole way because you want to see. But thank you guys once again for listening or watching this. Please make sure you like. Please make sure you follow the podcast or subscribe. Please make... Oh, my battery's even low. That's how long I've been going. Please make sure that you guys continue to support the show, and I will continue to try and give you guys the best episodes ever. This was Real Talk, ranking Champions League winners from 2014 to 2015. Thank you. Peace.